Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, one and all. Let me make some adjustments here on everything I'm working with. Working the sound, working the direction, working the audio, the video, and all of it. And I love every bit of it. So here we are. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. Glad to see you. Glad to see you survive the week. That is a good feeling. Yeah, it's been a pretty incredible week. I have to say that. Really happy with all the activity that we're doing, all the changes that we've made. And, I'm not all upset. I leave the show happy, I enter the show happy, and my enthusiasm stays up. So I think I've made good decisions all the way around in what I'm doing. I know I get some thumbs down. I love those thumbs down. They make me very, very happy. I would say I can't tell you why, but I know exactly why. It just gives you the reason to rise above, Just make a better show, make better quality, and just keep doing it better and better and better each time. We entered this together with the eschatologies of the world shining upon us, and I really felt like we got a wake-up call, and we dodged a mighty bullet. And I have the ability to put together a show and talk about the Great Awakening, which happens at so many levels, so many different levels. So it's something that just deserves a lot of study, a lot of sifting through information. Some stuff is good, some stuff is bad. If 80% of the information that I get is good, that's a good source for me. That's a good source, because nobody is perfect. Nobody. Not you, not you, not me. None of us. None of us are perfect. And if we can be 80% good throughout our life, 90% good and perfect, then we've done amazing. Give yourself a pat on the back. But a lot of us fall short. And so you apply that reality to the information that you see and you take in. And if you start seeing that, man, 20% of what they're telling me is right, 10% of what they're telling me is right, I'm not listening to those people. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all the alphabets. No. And even Fox News has become unreliable. And all we're looking for is reliable sources. And so the best we can do is go to the ground, and we have the ability with the network society, and not the telephone network, not the television network, but the internetwork of devices that reside on the internet. I mean, you just have telephones, iPads, laptops, desktops, servers galore, routers, businesses, everything is on here. And so the television networks cannot stop what's happening. The cord cutting is breathtaking. People are leaving networks and television networks at breathtaking speed, and getting their news information and analysis from many sources, just like you guys are coming over here and watching the Breadcrumbs project because of the analysis that we have to offer, and following the breadcrumbs. But we're also following the queue very closely, and we're not going to analyze Q drops. We'll talk about Q drops, and I understood there's several that happened these several days, and one of the reasons I really didn't follow the Q is because the information that they were putting out there with the Q drops, I basically already knew. No surprises. And I'm like, what are you going to do about it? Well, come to realize it's, what am I going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about the march of Marxism across your country? What are you going to do about the destabilization of your country? What are you going to do about the education system in your country that's teaching Marxism? An absolute cancer to any society. Those that do not have demand what those that do have. It is just the poor saying, look, I want to be equal to you, rich person, so just give me what you've got. Get rid of these police. Get these police out of my way, is what they've said these past 2 to 3 months. That's what they're saying right now. The march of the leftists. Get these police out of my way, protecting me from taking what you have. Wealthy Americans. And wealthy Americans are saying, oh, you are right. I'm not going to donate it to you, but I'm going to make myself less secure. Well, I'm not going to make myself less secure. I'm going to make these inner cities less secure because I don't live there, and that's your problem. And so it is something that societies are going to have to reckon with, and it is a great awakening throughout the world, what Marxism really, really is. And we have to talk about it a lot to educate ourselves, and then to educate those around us as to what Marxism, socialism, and communism is. And thanks to Sadhguru for giving me a clear definition of Marxism and its failures. Many people have tried to say what Marxism is and how it fails. And Sadhguru of India was able to do it in 5 minutes with great examples. So, and from a fresh perspective, and from a very on-the-ground perspective. Also, the reporting that we get is from Twitter, is from Twitchy, is from Parley, it's from Facebook, it's from YouTube. We just can't rely on network news at all anymore. So we just go to the sources, pay attention, and we can pick up a lot of what's happening in real time, in actual real time, and with clear understanding, without the filter of editors of the news media who all work together and come up with the same headlines. I mean, all the news outlets have the same exact headlines. Why? Because they get in some chat room, talk about it, and then roll it out. This is what we're going to do, guys, because they're all buddies. All the news directors, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN. The guy that's running CNN right now used to work at NBC. So it is a cabal that really honestly hates constitutional conservatives, and they're going to do whatever they can to ultimately crush their enemy, who is the constitutional conservative of the United States of America. And some of the great news is channel subscribers going up, and we are going to start next week a very concerted effort to start bringing new viewers to the channel, and to really build that subscriber base, to really get the word out to more people about the Great Awakening. And anything that you guys have to send my way, please do at thebreadcrumbsproject.com. If you haven't yet, please do hit the subscribe button. And let me make a little adjustment on this guy right here. And if you want to join the Breadcrumbs Project, be part of the show actually, and helping formulate what we talk about, because usually in the evening in the membership show is where I talk about what I want to talk about the next day, and just get some ideas and perspective. So just want to pass that on. Hey, Fitzsimmons, how are you, man? I got your comment, and thank you for your supportive email, and good to have you back on the show, and thank you so much for all that you've done, and very cool that you were on a radio show and had a chance to talk about the science that you've done. And yeah, there's so many crazy things that's happening. I mean, just China alone epic flooding, epic flooding in China, where these cities and valleys have so much water coming through them that it's up to 630 feet high. They're warning people that live in buildings that you're going to get flooded up to your 4th floor. So get out of the building because your building may just be swept away. And there are just going to be millions, there already are millions of displaced people in China right now, and there are millions more to come. They have been getting crazy hail, crazy lightning storms, darkness, sudden darkness for no explanation. And they're also having lotus. They are also having lotus sweeping parts of the countryside and just laying it to ruin. So yeah, things are crazy. And that's just China, India, lotus, weather, typhoon. I mean, just so many crazy things. Now, I will say this, Fitzsimmons. I bet you if you start checking the sun right now, not right now, don't go out right now, but this weekend, you're going to see that it's getting back in alignment. I'm measuring that's about, I'm guessing about 3 degrees off right now. And it is not as bright as it has been. It's not incandescent light, bright. And I don't have the double atmospheres anymore. So I'm just having the one single atmosphere. Something happened, something transpired with the Earth. It was moved for something. I think Comet Atlas and Comet Swan had a lot to do with it, as did Comet Oumuamua and Comet Borisov. And we have Comet Neowise that is just so bizarre that it defies explanation. So there is a lot going on, a lot. So just want to pass that on. Got to take a break real quick, guys. Got to change a battery. I'll be right back. Sorry about this. two things. The batteries that just ran out for Duracells. And one of the things that is just interesting about the European Union is it's not a Sorry guys, gotta do some troubleshooting here. Something's playing, I can't hear it. I just found it. Oh, which is kind of cool. That actually was kind of cool. Y'all were listening to music while I was handling the sound issue. I've got to uninstall that. Pretzel Rocks. Sorry, Pretzel Rocks, but you've got to go. Make a note. So that's the last time we'll be having that technical issue, those two technical issues. Anyways, I was saying that the European Union is a protectionist racket. It's not, it doesn't allow competition, free competition. So the Duracell batteries here are not any better than the regular batteries because there's no competition, there's no encouragement of competition. And the Duracell batteries in the United States, I mean, they do last 4 to 5 to 6 times longer than your average battery. Noticeable difference in performance. Here they have the price, you know, they're expensive, but their performance is no better than the cheapo store batteries. Uninstall Pretzel. All right. Why wasn't that going through my system? Yeah, I do have a problem with the sound because I'm not hearing my stuff through my headset. Sound issues, but I can see that through the mic and auxiliary that I am talking. Erg. All right. Thank goodness I don't have an interview today because this would be really difficult because my earpiece isn't working. And for the first time on my show, the trains left the station. I don't remember exactly what I was talking about because the sound problems, these technical issues are bothering me. I thought I had most of them taken care of. Oh, curse you technology peoples and beasts. All right. Well, let's get to the news. The Chaz is over. The Chaz is done for, and thank goodness for the Babylon Bee. The Babylon Bee is brilliant satire. BabylonBee.com, and the Babylon Bee is talking about tourists flocking from around the country to view the ancient ruins of Chaz. The ancient city was once a bustling center of commerce and trade, its chief export being outrage and its chief import being everything needed to survive, like food, shelter, and water. Look at the remains of this ancient primitive civilization. It's quite fascinating, said one woman as she pointed to a sea of abandoned tents. They seem to have nearly discovered the secret to fire, though it appears they used it mainly to light up these bongs over here. So brilliant satire. And the Chaz, oh yeah, I was railing on about Marxism. That's right. So Marxism is an absolutely huge and visible failure to society. What is happening is the patriotic fervor of people wanting to protect what is their own, and people seeing that they are being attacked and called racist for no apparent reason. It has happened so much.
Today, we're given access to a very rare and closed community, the first ever established.
All right, shouldn't be labeled those things at all. I'm trying to queue up stuff on the browser so we can take a look at what's happening in the news, and at least we have that great satire in America available to the constitutional, conservative, capitalist, taxpayer, and citizen of the United States. That you can just laugh at what is obviously a failure and laugh at the media that tries to prop up these failures as being something successful, and it is not. Thank you, Tabitha Musica. So hopefully got that taken care of. How is Hong Kong? Hong Kong is a mess. Hong Kong is a mess. China is a mess. And I was actually talking about China before I had this audio issue. Let's get back to China real quick. China is having great flooding, lotus, hail, incredible hailstorms, incredible storms, and fish. They've had fish jumping out of lakes and jumping out of rivers and streams, just arbitrarily just jumping out. And this has been going on for the last couple months. At the same time that we've seen weird stuff going on in India, in Australia, across the states in many different ways. So there is something definitely going on. But China is a communist state, and it's run by a central Politburo, and it's under a lot of stress right now with COVID, with trade, with how the free world is looking at them. They were looking at them really nice and sweet 10 years ago, and thought China was just an amazing thing and just wow. But now we're seeing the talons that communism has. And communism, Marxism, socialism, sooner or later, if you think they're your friends, they're going to show you their talons. And hopefully it's not at the worst time possible. And that's what's happening right now because communism only has two ways to react. To lie to you and soothe you and then take from you, because that's what communism does. So the communist government is under incredible pressures right now from all sides, and under the president Xi Jinping, they were really clamped down on the country, stopped this march towards liberalism and capitalism per se, and any sense of a democracy, and just really brought out the patriotism and the nationalism and in many ways the racism, Chinese are superior to any other country and any other nation. Not the Chinese, just the Chinese country, but the Chinese people as a race. Yeah, that happens over there. That happens. Watch YouTube, and you will see it. Many non-Chinese people can't stay in many hotels in the countryside because the Chinese won't let them. It just has so many different levels. I don't say this to be mean. You just have to be aware of these. The Great Awakening. The Great Awakening. You have to understand societies. So under Xi Jinping, the Communist Party really clamped down and became really strong as a power. But they stepped on a lot of people on the way to do that. Mainly the army and banks, as well as the billionaires of the country, and the leaders, the tech leaders. It's been really an interesting evolution and de-evolution. So yeah, very interesting times lay ahead for China. Well, best guess, I was going to say I'm not sure what's going to be happening in the future, but best guess from what I can tell from analysts in India who know the Chinese government quite well, and right now are in a process of boycotting and putting up quite a front against China, because they've just had a border skirmish where 20 Indian soldiers were killed. I mean, brutally killed by Chinese soldiers. But we don't know officially how many Chinese soldiers were hurt or killed. And that's just the way the Chinese government operates. That's the way the CCP, the Communist Chinese Party, operates. They don't reveal anything. Here's what happens. In India, they were able to mourn these soldiers as a country. This gives honor to the service of a soldier who is defending your country, and this lets all of those other soldiers on the border know that this country is behind you 1,000%. We are behind you. We support you in this sacrifice of yours in protecting our country. China and their people know what happened, but they don't know how many soldiers they've lost, and the veterans can't honor the soldiers that have given their lives to protect the country, because this was not a good thing. This was not an honorable event that China can get any propaganda off of. So they're burying it, hiding it, and there's already a very big gulf, a schism between China, the People's Liberation Army, and the Chinese people as a whole. Because Chinese people can't own their property, they can't own their home, they can own the structure, but the property that the building is built on does not belong, will never belong to them until they change their form of government. So if you have a farm and you've been farming that farm for generations, well, that farm it doesn't belong to you. As soon as the government, the communist government took over under Mao, under Chairman Mao, well, all that land was surrendered to the party and to the people, per se, the people. But what happens is as some of these towns get bigger and bigger, the outlying property becomes more valuable to the people, which is actually the municipality that where that farm or home resides in. And if property values go up, where a company will come in and pay top dollar to lease that property, well, the government, the municipality has no problem in just getting rid of all those people, telling them get out, and telling the company, here you are, here's your land, please give us the rent for the next 99 years, and the property's yours. Well, what about this person that had the farm? Oh, we've compensated them. Don't worry about that. And they weren't really compensated. It was pennies on the dollar to lose their farming land that they survived off of for the last, 5, 6, 7 generations. And they don't have enough money to go buy another farmland and start from scratch. So what do these farmers do? They end up going to a shanty town of some kind. They create little villages of tin huts and what have you. It's just a very difficult situation in China right now. So what the Indians are saying, what the Indian talking heads, the analysts in India are saying, is that probably President Deng Xiaoping was the chairman that opened up China to capitalism and said, it is your job not to be poor and equal as Chinese communist. It is your job to get rich and get rich for the people of China and bring everybody out of poverty through the ability to make money and use the resources we have as a country. And that's when China started to take off. Yeah, Patty Hearst, People's Liberation Army, that's right. That's them. Yep. Across the ocean. So yes, America has been suffering from Marxism and communism from way back when Patty Hearst and when the People's Liberation Army had taken her and kidnapped her, brainwashed her, and yeah, very crazy times. Very, very crazy times. But these analysts are saying that probably President Xi is going to, the current president, is going to probably develop some kind of health issues and retire towards the end of the year and allow the Communist Politburo, the Central Bureau, to select a new chairman or a new president. But a lot of people are thinking that the Communist Party may not be able to survive at this time. COVID is too big. The trade wars that are going on with China are on all fronts. Every country right now that is part of the Chinese economic model and doing trade with China is putting great pressure on China. First of all, to find out what happened with this virus, and everybody's rethinking sending all their manufacturing overseas and bringing the manufacturing back home. Australia is, the United States is, European Union is. So a lot of countries are thinking about bringing their manufacturing back home. And that's going to impact globalism, and that's dismantling globalism. And the biggest thing about globalism was being able to take the manufacturing corporation in one country, take the manufacturing out of that company, send it to another country, but be able to sell in your home country for the same price, but the manufacturing price is cut in half. And so those profits are great, but you have to weigh all risks. So for greater profits, you are creating bigger risks. You know that as a business, you know that as an analyst, and you weigh those risks. And the comfort of the world 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that wasn't a bad trade-off at all. Today, we see what happens when you lose your manufacturing base in your country, in your home country. And a great example of this, and everybody's been talking about the United States, but it's actually the European Union, which is having a huge struggle. they're trying to play with the budget and cut the EU budget, which is not an annual budget. It's a 5 to 6 year budget. And they're not agreeing. The 27 countries that make up the EU now are having a big problem with Great Britain no longer being in the EU, paying a significant portion of the budget. And so they're trying to fill that hole and trying to figure out how to fill this giant hole of an economic bust that the COVID is on them. So the EU is under great stress, just like the Chinese government is. It's just no one's reporting on it. There may very well be a chance that by the end of the year, if there's no budget agreement, there is no European Union in its present form. And that might not be a bad thing at all. It really would, I think a lot of the countries in the European Union want their national pride back and control of their own borders and control of their own budgets, quite frankly. So this is going to be interesting times for the EU and for China, quite frankly. And that's what the Breadcrumbs Project does. Brings you the unique news of the world and how it applies to us, many constitutional conservatives. Again, and I'll be talking about this every single time. Please go to the website dsausa.org, Democrat Socialists of America USA.org, and study them. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. These are definitely the enemy of the United States of America. And their prelude, their prologue, their preamble states, oops, how'd that happen? Sorry about that. Here we go. Their preamble states, the Democratic Socialists believe that both the economy and society should be run democratically to meet the needs and not to make profits for a few. To meet public needs and not to make profits for a few. That is not anything that's run democratically. That is not an economy and a society running democratically. The United States of America runs democratically and allows you to keep your profits. And that's just that what they're saying here is robbery, thievery, taking from the rich to give to the poor. That whole Robin Hood thing. Marxism is not really Marxism. Marxism is Robin Hoodism. So Marxism really isn't anything new. It's just a very well-defined process now. Marxism has always been there. The poor and hungry have always wanted what the wealthy had. Always, 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 always. So this is not a surprise, but it's just well defined now, and it's an organized process, and it's a riotous mob. It becomes a locust of humans. That's what socialism is, because it just says right here. On July 13th at 8 p.m. Monday Eastern Time, when we take power. That is not anything democratic. That is not anything that the voter is participating in. They grab power like they did in Seattle with the Chaz. They just stole that land and hung on to it as best they could. The only thing they exported were threats. The only things they imported was everything they needed to survive: food, tents, shelter, water, and porta potties. They couldn't sustain themselves. Perfect example of Marxism. Yeah, I am one of the few covering all of these little details, all these little nuances, and that's why I think it's we have important work ahead of us. Thank you, Tabitha, for pointing that out, and thank you for again your constant moral support. And it sucks. We don't ever want to see anybody hurt, but a lot of times you get injured standing up to evil. It happened in World War I. It happened in World War II. It happens when Marxists try to take power. They do it through injury, and so those people that have to stand up to Marxism have to be able to take some injury, but also injure others in the process, in self-defense. And unfortunately, that's what happens during revolutions. Revolutions, people want to take power. We did it in the United States of America, quite frankly. Our revolution was we wanted to take power of the United States of America away from Great Britain and become an independent country, as did India back in the colonial days. So revolutions happen. And from the British perspective, the American Revolution was bad and done by evil men. But from an American perspective, we used to treasure and revere our founding fathers, but then the Marxists found an avenue to create division within the country, and that's labeling everybody and anybody that doesn't agree with their theories as racist, and then associating that racism to slavery, and that anybody that ever owned a slave was a racist, mean, evil person, especially the founding fathers. That is messed up logic, but that horse has run out of the barn and is well galloping throughout the field of ideas, and rarely challenged, rarely. So as we go with these ideas into the QMAP, we have to understand as we come over to this side, an anachrome, I think, is the chemical makeup here. That is something that we'll be talking about more up north. In the map, all planets in the solar system are heating up. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. That's something that, if interested in, I may study a little later. Yes, you are right, Tabitha. Yeah, people really don't know evil. People don't understand evil. No, they don't. And they allow themselves to get tricked because people always have the best of intentions. One of the best quotes I've ever heard is, "The villain never thinks he's the villain. He is the hero of his own story." So if you look at a person's life and look at what they're doing, why they're doing evil, in their own mind, they're not doing evil. They're absolutely very well clear on why they're doing what they're doing, regardless of the outcome. Evil people really don't know that they're doing evil. Evil people don't know that they're evil. They always think they're the heroes of their own story. Global warming, a line through it. Solar system warping. All right, so we can look into that. Dense energy cloud. Honestly, our atmosphere is a dense energy cloud. It's not normal. Our magnetic field's not normal. Our protective shield, our atmosphere, all of that is a dense energy cloud. That's how it's all maintained. Not just gravity, but by a magnetic shield, just like Star Trek. A Star Trek magnetic shield is constantly alive and well and keeping the atmosphere pegged onto the Earth. Free wireless energy is something that is available. The brilliant Nikola Tesla talked about it. Nikola Tesla built our modern electrical grid. The motors and the power and how we do power with alternating current, stepping up current and stepping it down, all the genius of Nikola Tesla. And he says that the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are magical. Yep, Tabitha, I wasn't sure either, but we're finding out. So 369 were so important to Tesla, and he stated clearly, if you can figure those numbers out, you understand the fundamentals to creation. And he said, and I quote, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." 3 things: frequency, energy, and vibration. The number 3 is always present when divinity is there. And there's my rooster. Tabitha, your rooster friend, says hi. Gives the warmest regards to you. Holistic healing, cancer cured. Cancer is just about cured. Rife machine, and I'm up here. Activator X, ratfish liver oil, decalcifies third eye. I do have the third eye. I'm very lucky with that, and I've done some exercises to loosen it up. I haven't gone through the decalcification process. I will probably start that sometime later on this year. Oregon, Wilhelm Reich. Don't know anything about that. Organtine pyramids, don't know much about that either. If anybody can clue me in on those details, please email me and we'll talk about it on Sunday. Sound healing and Om, very powerful, very, very powerful, the Om. Book of Enoch tells us clearly where we came from and how we were derived, and the story of man and the Sumerian story. The Ankh has been throughout history, and the Anunnaki, those that came from heaven, those from heaven to earth came, or come. The Anunnaki are the ancient gods of the Sumerians, and we've had gods throughout the history of mankind, up until 5,000 years ago, which was, I think, the one last great god, and that's the God of the Jews and the God of Noah, not Noah, not Noah, of Moses, the God of Abraham, who came to protect his people and fought the gods of Egypt, and eventually sought and got the release of the nation of Israel from Egypt, and then started the long journey of the Jews. But that was the last real big presence. Yeah. Rooster, Tabitha says, thank you and hello. Nope. If you don't look at the facts and get all emotional, it never works out well. Precession of the equinox. Elohim. Elohim is the God of the Jews, and who secured the release of the Jews from Egypt. And so the God of the Jews, Elohim, battled the gods of Egypt and Pharaoh and won. So again, it wasn't one God saying, I'm all your God, and I command you to release the Jews. No. The powerful God of the Jews did battle with the gods of the Egyptians and Pharaoh. And through Pharaoh and through Moses, this battle occurred. Very, 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 you have to think about these things. You have to understand the history of humanity, and not just what somebody yells at you from the pulpit. If you read the Bible from cover to cover, you'd understand this really clearly, and you'd have a lot of questions. And it's a great read, by the way. It's hard, but it's a great read. So Elohim, the God of the Jewish people. And there's clearly association between Elohim and the Anunnaki and the Ankh and the magical cross of Egypt. Precession of the equinox, the 25,900 year pole shift, the great year. That's what the great year is. The precession of the equinox, 25,000 years that takes the Earth to go through the entire zodiac in the sky. And roughly every 3,000 years, every 3,500 years, we go into a new zodiac. Right now, we are in the age of Aquarius, officially speaking. And it is the Great Awakening and the age of the golden race is what we are understanding. Now, we get up into spaceships and the solar warden. So from what I understand and from what a lot of us understand, the Earth is in quarantine, just like we've been in quarantine for the virus. The Earth is in quarantine, and there is and what we see as the constellation of stars around us is actually a protective barrier so that nobody can come into our solar system, and those that are in the solar system can't leave. But then I question all of the stuff that's going into and coming out of the sun. So I don't know how big or important this quarantine is, and it's, maybe the area is quarantined, but travel is still available into and out of, just as long as people aren't disturbing the Earth. It's just very interesting what's happening around the sun. The brain drain of the 1950s and 60s, 60 million plus recruited into the secret space program. Again, this is just information coming out, and we get to analyze it to see what we think. Sound levitation, absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. And it's spoken of throughout the history of ancient Earth. So the Egyptians said that those that created the pyramids, excuse me, ooh, yawn. Hasn't been a long day, and got a good sleep. I don't know where that yawn came from. That the rocks to make the Great Pyramids, and to move all the giant monoliths that they had, and the giant stelae that they have, those were all moved with sound. And same in Oh my goodness. Well, through ancient Asia, all the great temples there, they said they were created with sound, and the rocks were moved with sound. And Angkor Wat is the one I'm thinking of directly. So sound levitation was definitely used in ancient technology, as well as the ability to melt rock. That was definitely available to the ancients as well, and melt rock and make to form things. So very interesting. All right, and wrapping it up here, Taurus metaphysics, the source field, and what we're in right now, the age of Aquarius, the PHI golden ratio. That is, well, we all know what the golden ratio is. So PHI golden ratio, that's something I'll have to look into too. And optimal time reality. Most of these things make sense to me. It is part of the Q Great Awakening. These are a lot of things that a lot of people are not aware of. And hopefully we'll get into more studying areas that interest us along the way. I'm trying to get to the top part, but talking about as much as the bottom part as possible. Some things don't make sense to me, and I don't find them terribly important. The bigger things I do see, I get to talk about in its relevance. So this is what we've done in the Q map so far. We've made some pretty good progress. Let me zoom out. So we've done the bottom portion here and this bottom left hand quadrant, and we're going into the center third, not quadrant, third. So I'll do it in thirds, and going left to right now, and then I'll go up and we'll go from right to left, and we'll just keep going up the Q and the Q key, and just decipher as much as we can. If anybody has any questions on something that I talked about that I don't know about, then I will do a deep dive in there. But if I ran across it and I don't know about it and it doesn't make me look it up, it doesn't really interest me. So that is that, guys. That is today's show. An hour long. This has been an hour-long stream, a little less because of the sound issue that I had. Apologize about that. And do keep an eye on China, and we will be going through the Constitution more next week as well. So we got a lot of work to do, and I am enjoying doing it. So thank you, everybody, for participating and for being here. Have a great weekend. And let's get this going. All right, we're coming to the end of the show, and it's been a great week. No show tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, and I take Saturdays off. But I will be here Sunday, 4:30 a.m. Washington D.C. time, and then again usually the usual 1 o'clock Washington D.C. time. This show, the afternoon show, give you all the updates and clarifications as possible, and get you ready to understand the news that's coming out, and share with you a lot of the news that you're not hearing. Tabitha. Yes, I am in a polo shirt time loop. One thing I've learned, especially in doing video consistently, you really just want to kind of keep one look and one predictable thing. You don't want to have too much change affect the viewer. So I have several of these polo shirts, this color, and then several of a light blue, and so I usually intersperse with those two, just to keep things interesting. Yes, good observations. Yeah, you develop a rooster call as a farmer. It's what you do for fun. All right, everybody, have good thoughts, think, say good things, and do good deeds. Have a great weekend. Remember, practice forgiveness.